Jersey's own Zach Gelb. Or maybe it's Pennsylvania. Anyhow, it's one of the two, I'm pretty sure. The Zach Gelb Show continues on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in to the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey, 920 AM in Bucks, Burlington, or Mercer counties, or worldwide on the web at 920thejersey.com. We come to you live from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. And let's go out to the phone lines right now because we have a very special guest. It's an honor to talk to the hit king of baseball, was on that 1980 World Series championship team with the Philadelphia Phillies, and now does a tremendous job with Fox, and that, of course, is Pete Rose. Pete, appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for the time, and how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for calling, and, we're about 50 games into the baseball season. There's been some surprises and obviously some disappointments, and we got a long way to go yet.
Well, the Phillies have been one of those disappointments, and we'll get to the Phils in just a second. But first off, you're getting a big night. You're going to be honored in Philadelphia August 12th against the Mets as you're going into the Phillies Wall of Fame. So what does that honor mean to you, Pete?
Well, I mean, anytime you get any kind of honor at a ballpark, especially a traditional city like Philadelphia, it's a feather in your cap, and I really enjoyed my 5 years as a Philadelphia Philly, and we went to 2 World Series in 80 and 83, and we went to the playoffs one of the other years. So as far as team success, we had pretty good success during my 5 years in Philadelphia, and it was wonderful for me because I really, if you want to know the truth, I chose to go to Philadelphia. I had better offers. Matter of fact, I took the lowest offer to go to Philly because I thought we could win, and we did win. So I have no reservations about spending those 5 years in Philadelphia. It was a lot of fun.
Pete, take me back through what you remember about that catch in the World Series.
Well, first of all, I was behind the runner because the bases were loaded, and Frank White was hitting. And anytime the ball went up, anytime I was playing, you try to go to the ball. I mean, everybody should move every time a ball was hit. And Booney went over, and I think he was hesitant because he was going to hit the top of the dugout and it just come out of his glove, and I was there and just snagged it. I mean, it was just one of those things of 2 aggressive players trying to make a play, and we end up winning the World Series because the next guy was Willie Wilson, and Tug struck him out, and the rest is history.
You look back at that 1980 group, one that is still remembered very fondly in Philadelphia because you won that championship. Yeah. Larry Bowa, Michael Jack Schmidt, Lefty, Tug McGraw, Gary Maddox. I could go on and on and on. Looking back after all these years, what made that group so special to be a part of?
Well, first of all, we were good players. I mean, you had good. Lazinski was in that group. Trio was in that group. And don't forget Arnold McBride. We got to give everybody their kudos. But, if you want to know the truth, I really think that we won. Not only Tug saved everything the last 6-7 weeks of the season, but I think we won because of Dallas Green. And I know Dallas just passed away, and he was the right manager for that group. Now, I don't know if it was because Dallas spent so many years in the Philly organization, and he understood Bowa and Lazinski and Maddox and Schmidt and Boone because they all come up through the Philly organization. And he was the type of personality that we needed to keep that group focused and to keep that group thinking one way, and that was to win. So he could yell at this guy or yell at that guy, and, he was an intimidating factor. And I don't think we really would have won if we didn't have Dallas Green. I guess I shouldn't say that, but that's just what I believe because he was that important to that ball club and to that city.
Pete, like you were just saying, there was a big reason why you guys did win, and of course, he passed away a little over 2 months ago. Was always transparent, like you said, was never afraid to give his honest opinion. Just give me a little bit more what it was like to play for the late, great Dallas Green.
Well, Dallas and I hit it off. Matter of fact, the only grand slam I ever hit off Dallas Green.
Did you remind him of that when you came to Philly?
Oh, sure. And I told him, man, it was a 450-foot home run. He said it was a fence scraper, man. It just barely got over the fence. But, no, I really didn't need a guy like Dallas. I mean, I love Dallas. But I think the other younger guys. See, when I come to Philadelphia, when I got to the Philly clubhouse, I think I had a couple championships, and I had 3,160 hits or so. So The problem with the team at that time that Boa, Lazinski, Schmidt, Boone, Maddox were all about the same age. And it's not that Mike Schmidt didn't respect Larry Boa. It's not that Larry Boa didn't respect Lazinski. But now you get me come in, who's a lot older, 4 or 5 years older, with World Series experience. And it's hard for a guy the same age to look up to another guy. You understand what I'm saying? It's hard for Boa to idolize and look up to Schmidt. It's hard for Schmidt to look up to Lazinski because they were all about the same age. Now I came along, and I think the big thing I did for the Phillies, and I didn't do it purposely, I just did it because of the way I played the game of baseball. When I got there, I thought Mike Schmidt was the best player in the league 3 or 4 days a week. Then after playing with me in 1979, Mike become the best player in the league 7 days a week, because I think I made Mike understand that you're not going to hit a home run every day. You can win games with your leadership, with your defense, with your base running, and Mike did that. So that's why he went back-to-back MVPs. He was a great player. Matter of fact, he's the greatest third baseman ever to play the game of baseball.
Pete Rose with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey, reminiscing about the Phillies. Let's look ahead to the future of the Phillies. No one thought this team was going to be going to the playoffs this year, but they thought they could win possibly in the middle of 70 wins, and this is a team now only has 5 wins in the month of May. What are your thoughts on this current group of the Phils and what their future has in store for the Philly fans?
I know one thing Philly fans or Cincinnati fans or any fans don't want to hear is rebuild. But you got some good young players over there, just like you're going to face the Reds tonight. The Reds got some good young pitchers, and the Reds got a high-powered offense, you know the truth, with Cozart having a great year, and Duvall in left field, and there's the right fielder's got 13 or so home runs. Joey Votto hitting .299. He's got 11 or 12 home runs. So if you blink your eye, the Reds have put some crooked numbers up on the board. And the Reds' problem this year has been its starters. The relievers have been great, but I'm just afraid, talking about the Reds now, that by the time we get to July or August, the bullpen's going to be worn out. And you don't want that in baseball. You want to try to keep those bullpen pitchers' innings down April, May, and June, and perhaps the first part of July, because it's a long season, and you get too many innings, and those relievers, they just can't come in and put the fire out. And a lot of runs are scored in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings in baseball today. But the Reds are kind of similar to the Phillies as far as young players, although I think the Reds probably get better offensive players at this stage. That's because of Cozart and Votto. They're not kids. I mean, they're established players, and they've had good Major League careers so far.
You look at some of the youngsters for the Phillies, but they've been around here for the last few years. Dubal Herrera's 25. He had 5 strikeouts yesterday, hitting .226 so far to start off this season. And then Franco at third base is hitting .220. Hitting better than anybody. How do they get going? Because these guys have been in a big-time slump to start the year.
Well, first of all, I played the Phillies one time, and I faced a rookie pitcher named Ray Culp. And he struck me out 5 times one day at Crosley Field. But I must tell you, 4 of them were foul tips. So tell him not to worry about striking out 5. What's the difference? You strike out 5 times or you ground out 5 times. You're 0 for 5. But, I played the first 2 years in the league, and I didn't become a good hitter until I went to Venezuela and played winter ball. It takes these kids it's okay if you're hitting .220. It's not okay for you, but if you're 23, 24, 25, you got to give some time to develop. You got to get, what you have to do, and I think people think I'm crazy when I say this, but the easiest place to hit in the world today is the big leagues. And I'll tell you why. Because everybody plays in the big leagues has hand-eye coordination. You don't make the big leagues if you don't have hand-eye coordination. What happens when you get to the big leagues? The lights are better, the umpires are better, pitching control is better, and maybe most importantly, you're facing the same pitchers year after year after year. When you face these pitchers to these young hitters, you got to write down in the back of your head what they throw, because you got to know what to look for if you're going to be a guest hitter when you go up to bat against these pitchers you've never seen before. And if you don't write it down, you can be 0 for 3 before you know what the hell a guy throws. It's all about doing your homework and having fun and adjusting and working hard. I mean, you're either going to hit or you're not going to hit. But if you're not going to hit, make sure you get the guys in from third with less than 2 outs. Make sure you get the guys over to third when a man's on second, no outs. Just do little things like that to help the teams you're playing for win, because there are so many one-run games in baseball today. And usually the teams that go to the playoffs will win a lot more one-run games than they lose one-run games. And that's just keep it simple. It's not that difficult.
With that being said, do you think it would behoove the Phillies to maybe bring up some of these guys from AAA that are off to a good start in AAA?
Well, you can do that, but don't give up on the young guys you got up here right now, because the chances are the young guys in AAA coming up to the big leagues are going to struggle a little bit too. I mean, every once in a while you get some young players that just dominate in AAA, and just like Judge from the Yankees. I mean, he's doing well now. He didn't tear it apart in AAA. I mean, he wasn't a 300 hitter in AAA. It's just like the Reds' leadoff hitter, Billy Hamilton. It seems like everybody in Cincinnati thinks because Billy, the way he can run, is supposed to hit 300. Well, his top year in AAA was 260. So why should you hit 260 in AAA and come to the big leagues and hit 310? It doesn't work that way. I mean, you just have to keep developing and keep developing. You can never develop too much as far as hitting the baseball at the big league level, because pitchers are good. They're trying to get you out, and that's the way you got to look at it. So don't press the panic button on a couple of guys because they're hitting 220 or 230, because if they have a good 2 weeks where they can hit 400 for a couple of weeks, they're right up to 260 or 270. Then it becomes a lot harder to go from 270 to 300 than it is to get from 220 to 270. You understand what I'm saying on that?
Totally understand what you're saying as we're talking to the great Pete Rose. Hey, Pete, what is it like for you to watch Mike Trout these days?
Well, Mike Trout's a great all-around player. I mean, he's probably the best player in baseball that bats right-handed. The best player in baseball that bats left-handed is Bryce Harper. So I'm going to be politically correct. You know, but I always thought going into this season the best hitter in baseball was Cabrera from Detroit, but he's having some injury problems right now, but he still can really hit. And I think the guy's probably going to get the most hits again this year. He got the most hits, I think, 3 of the last 4 years, is Altuve from Houston. This little guy's 5'5", 5'6", but he's a lot taller when he's got a bat in his hand. And you just take it from him. I mean, he's got 200 hits 3 years in a row, and he's hitting again this year. And they got one of the best records, if not the best record in baseball. I'm talking about the Houston Astros right now, and them and Cleveland, I think, are the two teams to beat in the American League. Of course, Washington has got a real good ball club, but man, they got to fix their bullpen, because when Dusty goes to the bullpen, he holds his breath.
Pete, now, and you could just tell how much you still love the game by just what you're saying right now on the show, and we get to watch you on Fox, of course, and we love the World Series each and every year. We talk about the great job you do with Kevin Burkhardt, Frank Thomas, the Big Herd, and then Alex Rodriguez. We never know what you're going to say, and it's must-see TV. How about this role for you right now with Fox? It seems like you're really enjoying it.
Well, it's fun. I mean, put yourself in my shoes. All we do is we go to the green room during the season. Now, I'm not talking about the World Series now, or the playoffs. And we just watch every game that's being played. There's TVs everywhere. Then you get, when it's time to go on the set, you go on the set and talk about what you just saw. I really enjoy the pregame shows a lot more than the postgame shows, because the postgame shows, all you're doing is wrapping up. And all wrap-up is today, as you know, you watch it. Home run, home run, home run here, coast-to-coast home runs. Okay, when you're covering the World Series or the playoffs, you got to cover the great plays, or who you expect to have a good day. How's this pitcher pitching? Because we're talking about the game before the game is played. And when that happens, you can use your baseball knowledge to talk about it. When the post game comes on, all you're doing is talking about what everybody did that particular night. I don't enjoy that as much as the pregame show.
And of course, Fox has the AllStar Game, and everyone remembers you running over Ray Fosse. But now I'll tell you, the AllStar Game, it's a bit of a pedestrian product now. What's your thoughts on the current state of the AllStar Game?
It don't mean anything. I mean, see, you have to understand, for your listeners out there, I played in 17 AllStar Games. And all the years I played, which was 24 years, we never had interleague play. So when we were playing All-Star games, me, Willie, Schmitty, whoever was on the All-Star team, we were playing for league pride. We tried to beat them, and we won 16 out of the 17 games. The only one we lost was in Detroit in 1971 when Reggie hit that monster home run off of Doc Ellis. But if you'd have been around Warren Giles, who was Bill Giles' dad. Okay, everybody in your audience knows who Bill Giles is. He's a great guy. I mean, he's the reason I went to Philadelphia, if you want to know the truth. When his dad used to have the pregame meeting, you could see the veins in his neck popping out because he believed that this was the opportunity to show the world that the National League was superior to the American League. And if you didn't win this game or help win this game, you won't make it next year. And in those days, you wanted to make the All-Star team because that was something you could go in and negotiate your next year's contract with. Batting championships, Cy Youngs, hitting 300, getting 200 hits. I had 16 straight years in Cincinnati of one-year contracts. I did not get a multi-year contract until for the 79 season when I came to Philadelphia. So that's how important the All-Star Games was for us. And Willie Mays is not going to get on a plane to San Francisco and fly to Pittsburgh or fly to New York to play in an All-Star Game and get one at bat and take a hike. If you made the All-Star team and when I was on the All-Star Games and you didn't start, you just sat there and hoped you got in the ball game because the guys who started, they didn't play five and fly. They tried to play the whole game. They wanted to play the whole game because they wanted to represent the National League and hope they could win the game.
Do you think it's possible to get that passion back for the All-Star Game?
No, it won't ever be that way because there's too many players that they change leagues. They play with each other, and they're going to this team or that team. Free agency is kind of taking care of the All-Star Game, which is okay. I'm not against that, but the All-Star Game is just it's something to entertain the people halfway through the season, and it's great for the city. This year it's Miami. Okay, last year San Diego did a wonderful job at the All-Star Game. The year before, Cincinnati did a wonderful job at the All-Star Game. I'm sure if the game's in Philadelphia again, they'll do a wonderful job because it's big for the city as far as bringing all the dollars into the city. But the players, I don't know if players really worry about making the All-Star Game today as opposed to back in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s.
I think you're right. If the All-Star Game comes to Philly, I think it would be unreal because you just saw the draft come to Philadelphia for the NFL, and the Philly fan always does a great job. What did that Philly fan mean to you since you got to play for them for 5 years?
Well, I could never in my life ever criticize the Philly fans because I got it figured this way, okay? And that's one of the reasons I went there. Philly fans want two things. They want you to bust your ass, and they want to win. Every fan should want the same thing. The Philly fans are just a lot more passionate about playing hard. They're more passionate about winning because they've had so many winning teams in different sports over the years. When I was there in the 80s, the Sixers were good. The Flyers were good. The Eagles were good. We were all good in the 80s. And people in Philadelphia expect a winning product, and they expect you, hey, you better bust your butt if you're playing for Philly fans, or they'll let you know about it. I got booed louder than anybody when I came there as a Cincinnati Red, and I never got booed one day when I was a Philadelphia Philly for 5 years.
Definitely special. Hey, Pete, before we let you run, as we're talking to the great Pete Rose on the way out with the Hit King, for years, and every time the Hall of Fame it's up for a vote, I always am annoyed that you're not in the Hall of Fame. Do you ever think that you don't? Do you think you'll ever get in?
I don't worry about that. Listen, I made the Reds Hall of Fame last year. I got my number retired. I have a statue coming up in June. I have the Wall of Fame in Philadelphia in August. Everything's cool. I mean, I messed that up. So I'm not going to complain on your show or any other show about the Hall of Fame. I kind of give up on the Hall of Fame, although every player should want to go to his or her Hall of Fame. That's the ultimate goal. But as far as I'm walking on this earth or breathing on this earth, I don't think I'll make the Hall of Fame. So I've been suspended 27 years, and I hope you don't think that I'm criticizing the Hall of Fame, but I'm kind of over the Hall of Fame, if you know what I mean.
Well, let me just ask you one more question off that, because now you have the steroid guys that are up, and there's been some people that have been surrounded with innuendo with steroids, like Pudge, who you know very well, and he said only God knows if he took steroids. Just since it's such a divisive topic, does it annoy you a little bit that some of the steroid guys could get in and you can't?
No, but I don't know who took steroids. I don't know who did what. I have my own problems. Although I'm going to tell you right now, for anybody listening out there, you probably got a lot of listeners. If I'm voting for the Hall of Fame, Roger Clemens is in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
If I'm voting for the Hall of Fame, Barry Bonds is in the Hall of Fame. If I'm voting for the Hall of Fame, Palmeiro with 500 home runs and 3,000 hits is in the Hall of Fame. Sammy Sosa had over 60 home runs 3 times and never led the league. He's in the Hall of Fame. Other guys I'm not so sure of, but those guys I just mentioned are truly Hall of Fame players, and I think they were probably Hall of Fame players before they took steroids, if they took steroids. I'm not here to say anybody did this or anybody did that. Roger Clemens till this day says he didn't take steroids. So who the hell am I to sit here and talk to you and call Roger Clemens a liar? I'm not in that position. But you have to understand another thing. These guys I just mentioned are all friends of mine. And I say I'd vote for them. I'll tell you why. Because we're in America, and I believe America, if you're in America, you should be given a second chance. That's the only reason I say I'd vote for those guys, other than they're very talented.
I think they should get all in as well. But, Pete, last one off this before we let you run. Some people are saying that put an asterisk on these guys' plaque and maybe put an asterisk on your plaque if you get in. Let's say if they put you in the Hall of Fame and you're alive and around to see it, would you be okay if they put an asterisk on your plaque?
Who cares about asterisks? You're going to put one around Babe Ruth's name? You're going to put one around Ty Cobb? You can't start doing that. I mean, because nobody knows what anybody did. Forget about asterisks. That's all. That's all you guys in the press trying to create. And I'll tell you one thing: you're a good interviewer because you said, "I got one more question" 5 times.
Hey, I learned from Kevin Burkhardt the best. You got to keep on going.
He is the best. Yeah, Kevin Burkhardt. Hey, Kevin, you forgot to tell your people that our show won an Emmy a couple weeks ago.
Well, congratulations. That must have been awesome to win that Emmy. You probably never thought you'd be winning an Emmy, right?
Not on TV either. I got a face for radio, man.
Hey, don't we all? Hey, Pete, this was a blast. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, have a good day. See you in August.
You got it. There's Pete Rose joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. He's right. I said it about 15 times. I got one more question, but he keeps on saying things, and he keeps on getting my brain going. But wow, what an awesome spot with Pete Rose. And that day in Philadelphia against the Mets on August 12th is going to be a special one. And I guarantee you the Philly fans are going to show up in big-time numbers. Really, the only thing to look forward to remaining with this Philly season. But in terms of the Hall of Fame, the steroid guys, they should be in. Pete Rose should be in. You want to put an asterisk on their plaque? I'm fine with it. Because it's about telling the history of the game. That's what the Hall of Fame is for me. And I understand there's going to be people that don't want to see these guys in the Hall of Fame. And I also understand that when you go to the Hall of Fame, because I've been to Cooperstown before, there is stuff about Pete Rose. There is stuff about Barry Bonds. But when you go into that plaque room, that stuff isn't there. And for me, you should see their plaque because they are all-time great players. They may not have done it the right way, and Pete has made his mistakes, and we all know his mistakes. They've been well documented. But I don't understand, and I haven't heard the argument that makes sense to me, why the man with the most hits in the history of the game can't be in the Hall of Fame. 609-9199-D200. This is the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. What we'll do right now is we'll take a break. We'll come back from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios to wrap up shop before we enjoy this long weekend. This is the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.